When these guitars arrived for the first time, they actually completely sold out, meaning that I wasn't actually able to get my hands on. But today, our stocks are replenished, and I'm able to talk about the Wylde audio guitars. There's a few models that I'm going to focus on today, but this by all means is not the full line. So if you do want to check out our entire stock of Wylde audio guitars, you can check the link down in the description below. And while you're there, give us a like and a subscribe. But why don't we jump in with these absolute dangerous weapons? So to give you a brief rundown of who Wylde audio guitars are, well, they're kind of in the name. They are the guitar company of Zakk Wylde, who's played with Ozzy Osbourne, Black Label Society, and is currently on tour with Pantera, with these exact guitars that he's playing every single night. And if the examples of the band weren't enough to give you an idea of what these are for, I'm sure you can probably guess with the shapes. These are big metal machines that are made to be played, big chunky riffs, loads of distortion on it, which, you know what, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So the one that in my lap that I've started the demo with, this is the Odin, which is in this really, really cool psychic bullseye top here as well. Now, anyone who is familiar with Zakk Wylde, you'll know that he's been a Les Paul custom guy through probably his whole career until he moved on to these guitars. And yeah, these guitars are giving that. Certainly this one here, it's, you know, it's a much more evil shape to a Les Paul, but certainly it's got that kind of vibe going for it. Spec-wise, what we're looking at is very, very familiar to anyone who has played like a Les Paul custom or something. Mahogany body, maple top there with a kind of like few choices of tops depending on, you know, how crazy you want to go with it. Ebony board on there with a maple neck, but there are a couple of quite cool specs when it comes to the actual neck and, you know, like the radius and all that sort of stuff on it. So if we're talking about the neck, what this has actually got on it is known as the Zakk C. Now this is a neck shape that has been designed specifically with Zakk Wylde in there. It's nothing too crazy, like it's not like that deep. It's not particularly thick, definitely like we're looking at kind of Les Paul sort of like thickness with it, but it's really, really comfy. That's kind of the main thing that I've sort of found with it, whether you are doing like those big kind of chunky riffs on it. Or kind of doing some solo-y stuff as well, you know, if you're up at the kind of top there as well. Really nice and comfy depending on, you know, whatever you kind of throw at it. If we're looking at the scale length and the radius as well, I've got a 14-inch radius, so it's not too round, it's not too flat. And it's actually got quite an interesting scale length with a 24.625. Now, it doesn't feel anything crazy, but I quite like just that they've gone, you know, just a little bit different than your usual sort of Gibson scale length on this. And in classic Zakk Wylde fashion as well, all the Wylde audio guitars are kitted out with the classic combination of the EMG 81 in the bridge and an 85 in the neck, the kind of combination that Zakk has been using for years and years. You can use these on clean, but why would you want to? So if the Odin was a little bit too safe of a shape for you, I'm sure this next one will be right up your alley. Now, as I said, these are kind of predominantly used for metal sort of guitar, and trying to find the input jack on one of them, each one of them as well, is quite a fun little activity. But You know, these are predominantly used for metal, but if you want to follow in the footsteps of, like, you know, folk hero Phoebe Bridgers, then surely you could kind of use this for some of your sad gal music as well. But this model is known as the Berzerker, which, I mean, watch your eyes when you're playing with this one, with all the horns and whatnot on it. But you're not going to be able to hide on stage with this, and for anyone who, you know, is in the loop with your current manga, and you'll know exactly what those inlays are all about. But the good thing about a lot of the Wylde audio guitars is that they actually follow all the same sort of specs. So predominantly, you just need to pick the shape that you like the look of. Can we just take a little bit of an appreciation for the back of this guitar actually as well? It's got this really, really nice bit of wood on there. That's one of the things that I will say, you know, about the Wylde audio guitars, is that they feel solid. Like, not only because they're mahogany with the maple tops and all that sort of stuff, but they just feel really, really robust. And I guess, you know, for a guy like Zach, he's a pretty big lad, he needs something that's just that, you know, like, nice, and you know, you can just use it every single night on tour and not have to worry about it. Now let's move on to the last guitar that I've got today, which again, there's no hiding on stage with this one, and certainly trying to get it off the wall there as well was its own task. This one here is the Warhammer. So this is the Warhammer, and I knew exactly where the input was for it. NT Norse Dragon Bullseye in metallic green. Now, this is probably a point to kind of sort of talk about. The only thing that I find, you know, a slight con with these guitars, and it's predominantly, you know, it's sitting down and playing with them. Anyone who's played like a Flying V or anything like that, you know the struggles of it. But particularly with like the Warhammer here, it's got that little kind of horn down the bottom. It's almost like the cross between like a Dean ML and an SG, which I think is quite cool. But a guitar like this, it's made to be played standing up, you know. You can probably do a bit of that on it as well if you do find just that little horn a bit annoying on your leg. But you're probably going to find it's quite sore after a little bit of time. And also with this one here, I think it was probably the only place they really could have put the selector switch. But when you're trying to do that, you know, quite quickly as well, it can kind of get in the way a little bit. So yeah, that's about as much as I really wanted to cover with the Wylde audio guitars that I was talking about today, particularly just these three models. As I mentioned right in the intro, there are a few other shapes and colours and finishes and all that good stuff, but the fact that they do share all the same spec is that, you know, if you like one of them, you're going to like the other as well, and it's purely just based on preference on what the shape you want to go with is. So if you're a metalhead and you just want a no-nonsense big riff machine, then you should do yourself a favour and check out the Wylde audio guitars. But let me know what you think down in the comments below, and while you're there, give us a like and a subscribe because you can keep up with all the latest news at Guitar HQ. But until next time, I've been Kieran and I've just been checking out a couple of the models in the Wylde audio guitar range. Have a great day.